Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And this would normally be the time when I say, good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com. But thanks to the wonders of the internet and time travel, it is actually morning for our guest. It is, I believe, 9 a.m. Tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. I want to know who won the lottery tonight. I got to get those numbers. We are talking tonight with author Cheah from Singapore. And Kai, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of books you write? I mean, what are we getting into here?
I write all sorts of science fiction and fantasy. For now, I've got 3 active series and counting. The most famous one is Hollow City. It's a superhero science fiction series set in a shared superhero universe. This story is about Adam Song, who was once a superpower cop and has now become a vigilante after the brass kicked him out following a controversial shooting. The second series is the Covenant Chronicles, which is about a Black Ops agent who made an agreement with an angel to fight terrorists that have signed deals with devils. Also, he thinks, until he discovers a deeper conspiracy manipulating governments and terrorist organizations all around the world.
I like both of those concepts already. Of course, you know, we are all about the superhero here at Critical Blast, but the idea that angels would conscript humans to help them in their battle against demons who, you know, are notorious for conscripting humans for their own purposes. That's a very intriguing concept, and they're not just a single standalone novel, but they're both a series of novels.
Yes.
And I believe Hollow City was actually nominated for an award, right?
The Dragon Awards. Yes.
Yeah, that's no small accomplishment. So congratulations on that. I'm just being nominated is a very big honor for that.
Thank you.
You have an Indiegogo here. By the way, folks, the books that Kai is talking about, we have the links to them in the description below. It takes you straight to Amazon. So if you want to pick these up for yourself and delve into them, please do click on the link. It'll open in a new window. You won't leave the show at all to go see. But you also have an Indiegogo here, and I'm getting ready to share that up here. So we can talk about that a little bit as well. But let's talk about the writing in general. I mean, you're a young guy. How long have you been writing?
Since I was 12 years old. It should be about close to 19 years now.
Okay, I can relate. I've been, you know, I'm an author as well, and I've been. If you're going to be one, you've always been one. It tends to be the case where people they've been writing from an early age and they get to be a professional at it. What was your first professionally published work?
The Covenant Chronicles Book 1. It's No Gods, Only Demons.
Oh, okay. And is that still in print?
Yes.
Okay. So people will be able to find that one on Amazon as well. This new collection here, looking at it, I want to make sure that this is a novel or a graphic novel.
It's a novel.
It's a
Actually, a
novel.
collection of novels.
Okay. Because it's, there's art there along with on the campaign page, which would make me think that, well, maybe this is a graphic novel, and it would certainly make for a cool premise of one. Is this your art that's...
I commissioned it.
You commissioned it? Okay. Yeah, this is something, I would think you might want to consider making it a graphic novel, depending on the success that you would get with this. I'm going to unshare it real quick and share it back, because I don't think I shared it with sound, and you have a video on here, so I want to make sure that we can hear it when we play it, to give people a little bit of a insight. There we go, into what they're getting here. So let's give this a play.
The gods have won. The special task section has been disbanded. Nothing can stop the new gods from unleashing hell on Earth. Or so they think. Fighting from the shadows, Team Blackwatch wages a desperate war to keep the horrors at bay. But this time, Yuri Yamamoto isn't here to help. Without a mystical crusader on their side, how can they stand against cultists, monsters, and false gods? Find out in Babylon Red.
Okay, so this is a collection of novels that you're putting into one book. Have these novels been made available anywhere else before this? Is this the first time they're being printed?
Most of them were published as web novels. They were free on my blog. The last novel in collection is exclusive to Babylon Red.
I want to get the page back on the screen here. My mouse has been acting weird. It's not as smooth as I'm used to being here. So this is available only through Indiegogo right now. Are you going to make it available on Amazon at some point, or are you going to strictly leave it as an Indiegogo book?
It'll go on Amazon eventually.
Okay. So if people who, for all our folks who like the digital version, we have a lot of people who like the digital graphic novels, so I'm going to assume they would want the digital books as well. $12 in Singapore currency, only $9 in the US currency. This is very cheap. Lion Art's here, looking at that Lion Art. Yes, but don't get attached to it. This is just promotional artwork, Lion Art. It's not in the book itself. Not yet. I hopefully I'm planting a seed in your mind here to say, hey, maybe we should turn this into a manga of some kind. That would because honestly, okay, I'll back away for a second here, but because we do comic books crowdfunding on the show all the time, different people crowdfunding different comics all around the world, the UK, Australia, and I'm like, I never see anybody crowdfunding a manga out of Asia. Even in Australia, they're doing the American style comics, the American format. It's like manga is outselling the American. One issue of a manga outsold the entire American comic book line here. And hopefully the industry has stood up and took notice and like, what are we doing wrong? And with that kind of a market, a manga is a no-brainer for you to find somebody to draw this up and do this as a crowdfund. I think if anybody crowdfunded a manga, it would take off exponentially. But what do I know? I'm just a guy behind a microphone talking to people doing their thing. So we got the Red ebook, and so there's two different books I'm seeing here. There's Babylon Red and there's Babylon Duology. That's two different collections?
Yes. Babylon Red is a sequel to Babylon Blues.
I see that. And these are all different novels that are set in the same universe where the gods have taken over. So this is sort of a post-apocalyptic world where Earth is sort of ruled over or in ruins because of what these monsters have done, or
More like post-apocalypse. The apocalypse was centuries ago in the past. Humanity has rebuilt, but the new gods rule now.
okay, so who are the new gods? That's a very good question, I think.
The new gods is an umbrella term for 7 different factions of supernatural beings. They call themselves gods. They grant superpowers and favors to their followers, but they also compete for territory, resources, and souls. It used to be a Cold War, but when Babylon Blues kicks off, it goes hot. Now there is constant warfare in the streets and in all around the city. The special task section was supposed to put an end to that. They were supposed to restore order to chaos. But the new gods have allies in the government. And when Babylon Raid kicks off, those allies have had the STS disbanded. And so, the tagline, the new gods have won. Or so they thought.
So, all right, so where do these gods come from? I mean, they're supernatural, so they're not like advanced technologically to look like magic. They're truly magical beings.
Some are.
So they don't all share a common origin. They're not like the gods of Olympus, where they're all from one place and are related. They're from different places and not all related in some way.
That's right.
I like that.
Yep. In the backstory, they all come from different dimensions and realms. But they all collaborate to drag Earth into another realm, one where they can have great influence on Earth. One of them is strictly a god. It's in hive mind, AI. It's an AI running a hive mind.
So that's something that we built.
Yep.
We're always the architect of our own destruction.
Yeah. Another faction, they call themselves gods, but they're not really gods. They want to become gods. And so they cut deals with demons, with anyone, become more powerful. And also engage in your own top secret R&D work to develop cutting-edge technologies. So they mix magic and technology casually. The other groups the other factions worship gods of different sorts. And we've got gods that specialize in building technology, gods that specialize in biotechnology, and it's in changing the human body, gods that shape-shifting, and so on and so forth. Each faction has their own powers, their own themes, their own capabilities. And they have this in common. They hate each other.
Okay. So they're all at war with each other, and they're probably sending human soldiers out to fight for them. Are they worshipped by the human factions?
Their followers worship them, yes.
Okay. So I'm looking at this this wolfman here, this lycanthrope changing. Is this representative of one of the gods, or is this somebody that a god has granted changing ability to?
The latter.
And this is going to feature in one of the stories, I'm assuming.
Actually, this is one of the characters. This character is Kari Mustafa, the youngest member of Team Blackwatch, the most elite team in the SDS. Unlike most of the other members, he's pledged to a minor god, a wolf god. And so the wolf god grants the ability to shapeshift into a werewolf.
But even pledging himself to a god, Blackwatch has allowed him on the team? Because I would think that Blackwatch's whole mission is to get rid of these gods.
Yes. Now here's a more interesting part. There are 7 new gods. There are thousands and not hundreds of thousands of lesser gods, all sharing the same space in the country.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And yeah, they all hate each other too. Except for this one. This god wants to coexist with humans. And so is Saint Karim, the son of Team Blackwatch, as part of an alliance for humans.
All right. I like that. At least one god likes this. We need
Yeah.
that. This is available in print. You can get in the ebook and print at the same time for $22. I haven't checked the shipping yet. I don't know if that's going to be a hurdle, a stumbling block. You know what? I'm just going to click on
shipping's included.
Shipping is included in the price for $22. That is amazing. Yeah,
The wonders of print on demand.
There it is, folks. United States, $0. So you can't get better than that. $22 for an independent published book. How thick is this? I mean, you know, how many pages are we talking here?
It runs to 199,000 words, so about this thick.
109,000 is a good run. And you know, multiple stories in here. So how many different unique stories are in the anthology?
5.
So they're not just short stories, they're full-on novel length stories here.
4 novellas and 1 full-length novel, yeah.
For $30, that's a deal, and you can get the complete. You can go back and get Babylon Blues print edition as well for $60, which will include Babylon Red. So yeah, get both of them. That's a great deal. I said $60. It's $45 US. So 22 and 45. And now you got the digital cyberpunk pack. Tell me about what this is, how this is different from what we just saw.
This pack includes my other cyberpunk series, Singularity Sunrise. Singularity Sunrise takes place in a different story universe. And yet it also has some similar themes. In the world of Singularity Sunrise, humanity is at the brink of the singularity, an intelligent super explosion that will cause massive and unfathomable changes in civilization. When the story kicks off, a polished megacorp has just developed a new artificial general intelligence. However, one of its key scientists has gone missing. So the megacorp hires a psychic contractor to find out what happened to her. To cut a long story short, she was kidnapped by the Chinese. And that sparks a shadow war between China and the rest of the world to develop a next generation AI. Because he who controls the AI will control the world.
That sounds like it's not set too far in the future. Is it even a kind of futuristic setting, or is it more grounded in what we might see, you know, currently today?
Futuristic. It's a play that takes place in the early 22nd century.
Okay, so at least another 100 years out.
Thereabouts.
Technology will be crazy in 100 years. As fast as it's growing now, and as fast as I've watched it grow, just over the last 50, it's growing so quickly. And you have more available here, so you can get you can just keep adding on here. You can get you can add Dungeon Samurai to the Dungeon Samurai. I like that title because it seems to blend two genres. When you think dungeon, you think medieval Western Europe, but samurai is obviously Eastern Asian. So what kind of a blend is this really when we start to read it?
It's an anti-lit RPG. Are you familiar with the genre?
I'm familiar with the genre with RPGs, yes, but not that specific one.
A lit RPG is essentially an RPG by written form.
Oh.
You got characters who go on great adventures, but they have huge stat sheets. They have special skills. They go fight monsters. They go dive in dungeons. The skill, whenever they fight monsters, they gain experience. Or they gain experience level up, that sort of thing. Dungeon Samurai was written in response to that.
All right,
So
I have seen that kind of a thing. Yeah, I've got a friend who's written a lit RPG, and he had to explain to me again, exactly how it worked for that genre.
Mhm.
It's a kind of a new genre, but it sounds interesting. I like the idea, but I'd like to get into that.
So Dungeon Samurai is a take on the classic Japanese isekai story. The main character is an ordinary college student with an extraordinary hobby, the classical Japanese martial arts. One evening, his entire dojo is teleported to a different realm. A demon is toying with them. It has collected humans from all over space-time and dumped them in his private world. It wants them to clear a dungeon before they get to go home. The guy chases dungeons filled with monsters, traps, poison gas. It's extremely deadly environment. But that's the only way they have left to go home. They're trapped on an island. The island is surrounded by monsters. There's monsters all over the place. So their only hope is to clear the dungeon. And to do that, our hero has become a samurai.
Which isn't something you normally do overnight.
It's not.
So
The hero has a head start, and he's already has studied martial arts. The rest, though, he needs to train up. He needs to get experience. He needs to change the way he thinks, from civilian to samurai.
and the dungeon will assist in that quest.
Basically, become a samurai or you die.
Absolutely. So that is the complete digital collection.
Yep.
You have also you can get the Cyberpunk collection, which is the two Babylon books and the Singularity Sunrise in print and digital, and of course you can get all four of them in print and digital. $126 for some pretty good sized novels here with some fairly unique storytelling here that I've been reading since I was 4 years old, and I write. So if something intrigues me, it's something I haven't seen before. And if I haven't seen it before, then obviously none of you in the chat have seen it before either. That's just how it works. That's the rule. So definitely check that out. Now you have this other thing here called the sponsor for $197. Tell us a little bit about what comes with this tier.
You get to advertise your product in Babylon Red. It could be a book, it could be a real world product like hair gel or something. If it's not illegal or immoral,
Sure.
if you buy this spot, I'll place advertisement for you on the page.
Okay, so like in the back of the book, there'll be some pages to advertise some product, which we used to see that a lot in the 1970s with trade paperbacks and mass market paperbacks. There would be the pages that would advertise, other books from the publisher, and sometimes even had an order form that you could tear out of the book and send in an envelope to buy more books. But sometimes I would even, and I have some, and I've left the cards in there because it's just unique. You open it up and there's like cards for cigarettes. Take this to your, grocery store and it's 50 cents off a pack of this particular brand of cigarettes. I thought that was odd, but given the genre of the books, I guess it didn't really be that odd. We got more tiers down here. You are a busy person. So you are offering a master class as well.
That's right.
So how does somebody participate in the master class here, and what do they get out of it?
Well, we book a time and date. We Zoom or Skype or whichever works, and then we talk about writing. So if you have any difficulties writing, if you want to know how to level up your writing skills, if you want me to talk about writing in general, that's what the class is for.
And we've mentioned that you've been writing since you were 12 years old. Did you take any formal training as you entered adulthood for writing?
Hmm. In school, we had something called a budding writers program, which basically, when the teachers want you to do it, you write an extra essay or story or composition every week. And that's about it. Everything else is pretty much self-taught.
That's sometimes the best way to learn. Otherwise, you're just learning how to write like everybody else already does.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have a book that you are looking to get eyes on, you have a book doctor level here, which I would imagine is more of the same, but you have a manuscript to play off of.
Yep. I'll go through the entire manuscript from start to finish. It's a full-level developmental edit, as well as comments on characters, world building, technology, action scenes, etc., etc.
So if any, plenty of people who would like editing assistance with their book. And okay, you're going to have to explain this a little bit to me further, Captain Hipster Spock in the chat. He's like, first writing question, architect or gardener? Now, I'm sure that's an approach to writing. Some people, lay out summaries in advance and they've got their blueprint and follow it. And some just kind of get out there and scatter the seed and then start trimming away the stuff that's not part of the book. So what is your approach when you're ready to sit down and write? Do you plot everything out in advance and then follow that strictly, or do you just start with a blank slate and see where the characters take you?
A bit of both. When I start planning a novel, I think about the themes, characters, the story itself, and I list everything down on the page. And over the next few days, I revisit the outline, refine it some more, think about where the scene fits, where it doesn't fit, where you need to train more chapters or reduce them. And then when I'm confident that everything is set, get writing. At the same time of writing, things happen. Characters do what they want. Action scenes do their own thing. Sometimes so whenever the story changes like that, I just adapt accordingly.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the story, I go back and trim it whatever that needs trimming.
Yeah, when characters start to take over and do their own thing, it's hard to stop, because that's when you know that you've created something that needs to be a story that needs to be told. If you try to think about what the character is going to do, sometimes it's more of a struggle. So it's always a lot easier when the character helps you out. Now, even above and beyond the book consultation, now you've got this the mentor program, and that is it's $595 US for which you get all 4 of the books, and something above and beyond just the book doctoring. What further comes with the mentoring program that's above the book doctor program?
Well, I'll work with you to write your book from start to finish. So every week we organize accountability emails. We talk about your book. We talk about the issues you're facing and how to resolve them. We plot your book, discuss characters, tech, world building, action, whatever help you need. So I'll work with your book from start to finish, from outlining to writing to edit, all the way until the end.
So it's kind of like a life coach for your book.
Pretty much.
And I liked what you added in there about accountability emails, so that you keep the person on track and on a schedule. Because if you're going to spend $600 for something, you don't want to just come in at it whenever you feel like it, and because that won't get you anywhere. Being on a strict regimen is good discipline to becoming a better writer. I almost said mentor, but I can't really use that word. The gentleman who started the book series that I write for, The Destroyer, Warren Murphy, he has a phrase that says, if you're waiting for inspiration, you're not a writer, you're a waiter. And it's just so true. I mean, if you're, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to write this novel. I'm just waiting for the right inspiration. No, every day you're bottom in a chair, 1,000 words kicked out, whether they're good or bad, every day. And eventually they'll get good. But if you don't do that, at the minimum, you're not going to write. I don't know what your experience is or what your schedule is. What is your time management process for putting a book together? What kind of a schedule do you maintain?
Every weekday is pretty simple. Wake up, brush teeth, sit down, write. 5,000, 6,000 words every day.
Wow.
Monday to Friday. Weekends for marketing, blogging, all the business stuff.
Now, so how long does it take you generally to put 5,000 to 6,000 words down? Because you have to have physical exercise time.
Yep.
That's one of the, trust me, that's one of the things that hits a writer is the fact that we're in a sedentary lifestyle, and we don't move very much, and after a while it shows.
Mm-hmm. So in the morning, 30 minutes of qigong, and in the evening, an hour of exercise every day.
Again, discipline.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty regimented schedule.
Yeah.
So that is all the tiers. I think this is a very unique campaign. I don't know. Have you run a campaign before on Indiegogo?
Once for Singularity Sunrise.
Okay, and did you have these kind of mentorship and editorial oversight tiers offered? And did people take you up on them?
Not yet.
So I'm thinking you might have bitten off more than you can. It's an American idiom. You might have bitten off more than you can chew, offering to be a mentor, because you might get somebody who's very, very hard to manage. I don't know how you might work around that or discipline this person into a good writing habit, but you might have a challenge, is what I'm trying to say, if somebody takes it up.
It's a good problem to have, I think.
I think so. It'll be interesting at the very least. So we have the characters drawn up here, but again, this is not a manga. So tell us who they are, so that when we read the story, we know who we're visualizing here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start with this guy with the knife.
This is Yui Yamamoto, team leader of Black Watch. He's a street samurai crossed with a crusader. His specialty is hand-to-hand combat and melee combat in general. He studied the traditional samurai martial arts, as well as the Russian martial arts systema. So you can see his expression is actually very calm and serene, and yet very focused. And that's what he brings to the table in every scene he's in. You can say he's almost supernaturally calm. And he has to be, given the horrors that he faces.
Sure. Now,
and
you said he's
Go
ahead.
You can also see that he's wearing a cross. He's a Christian, and pretty much one of the very few remaining Christians in the entire world. His faith keeps him anchored, and in times of emergency, he can call for divine intercession. In this case, he can neutralize magic. So when you've got horrors teleporting in, when you've got cosmic horror climbing out of a black portal, when you've got things shape-shifting into even worse things, he calls on God and he does his thing.
And God answers.
Yes.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because you said he was a crusader, and I could see the cross he's wearing, but we got a world in in the farther future, and it's ruled over by gods.
Yep.
And I think that delineates and separates the fact that no, they're not, because there is one, and you have him active in this setting.
Yes.
I'm even more interested now, and I know other people who will be as well. So who's this character here with the laptop and the gun?
He's Zen Tan, the cyber warfare specialist, which is a fancy term for hacker.
Yes.
So most of the time, he's actually in a support role. He's in the rear, either playing a spotter or doing cyber thing. But in his story, he has to be more active. He's got to expose himself to danger and go on to the front line, so to speak.
So he has to be able to take care of himself. Hence the gun.
Yep.
And now we do have some women as part of the team, and she packs a big gun.
Oh yeah. She's Kayla Fox, the team sharpshooter. Not sniper, but close enough. The gun she's wielding is a prototype railgun. Fires a 5mm flechette at 1.5 kilometers per second, guaranteed to tear through just about anything the new gods can throw at them.
Yeah.
She's also the only woman in the team, which introduces an interesting dynamic whenever she shows up. The men can't deny that she's a woman. At the same time, they try to keep things professional. Usually, they succeed. And then there's the interactions with Yuri Yamamoto, which leaves people wondering exactly what their relationship really is like.
So you got some possible subtle romance undertones flowing through here.
Possibly. How should I put it? It's not overt, because in Babylon Blues, they're on the same team and they can't fraternize.
Sure.
In Babylon Red, Yuri Yamamoto is missing for most of the story, at least until the last scene. But they talk a lot. And, well, let's just say you can see something in their conversations.
And here we have another person with a railgun.
Yep. Will Connor, the heavy weapons expert and the breacher, and very combative. So when he's in combat, he's like the guy that sees grinning behind his scope.
This is what makes him happy.
Yeah, fighting the new gods. He's got a bone to pick with the new gods. Unlike most of the characters, he comes from the city of Iberia, which neighbors the capital city of Babylon. And so you see things a little differently from all the others. He's rough, he's straightforward, he's very aggressive, but that's what makes him a competent operator as well.
And that is all of the different teams here. You do have
One more.
There he is.
Yep. James Wood, the team's second in command. He comes from a small farming town on an island off the coast of Babylon. He's also the oldest person in the team. He's cool, he's collected, but he's also a farm boy at heart. He's out of place in the city and he knows it. And given the cyberpunk story, I wanted to have a country boy experience perspective on the series. So, what he has here is a standard issue carbine, which is used mostly throughout the series. But in Babylon Red, though, the equipment is confiscated, and so they have left is the stuff they can, their personal gear or the gear they stashed away.
So he'll have that. That's his personal gun.
Yeah. At least until it's taken away.
All right. So this collection, which is the Babylon Red collection, will have the Wolves of Babylon, Sheriff of the Swamps, River of Blood, Hunters of the Void, and then Babylon Red would be, I guess, the big story, the novel that's...
Yep.
And we get a nice summary of each of these titles here, of each of the stories. Yeah, this is a well put together campaign. You've got some unique tiers on here. I think there's going to be hopefully a very successful campaign. Now you have 19 backers and 23 days left. Is this your first 30 days so far?
Yes.
I would assume so. Yeah, because you should be a lot higher than that right now. 115 US, $1,115 US goal, 469 done, 42% there. You're almost at the halfway point, and only a week in. So this should be easily achieved. Hey, somebody pick up that mentorship program, and it's done. Now this
Very
is
nice.
also yes. Now this is also a putting a follow on that. This is also a flexible goal, so your plan is to print even if you don't hit the goal, correct? And that's
Yes.
okay. So yeah, and you're going to print on demand. You have I'm guessing like a network of printers like Ingram Spark or something where, that's probably why it's so cheap to print, because you can have stuff printed in the United States for the United States buyers.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. So Amazon's going to take care of the distribution on that one.
Yep.
I've done that once. We're a publisher as well as media outlet, so we use Ingram Spark now. I chose to use Ingram Spark over Amazon because it was easier to buy my ISBN and actually take ownership as a publisher, instead of saying this book's published by Amazon. No, it's published by Critical Blast. I don't want it to say Amazon. So, all right, is there anything about this anthology that I didn't ask about that you want to make sure people know?
Babylon Red is more than just cyberpunk horror. It's also urban guerrilla warfare against overwhelming odds. The new gods have monsters. They have access to surveillance networks across the country. They have mega corporations in their pocket. They've got allies in the government, the military, the police. They are the entire system. The entire political, military, industrial intelligence complex. And it's just 6 people against that.
Yeah.
The might of a superpower. The only thing they have got going for them is that the gods hate each other. They won't cooperate with each other. That, and they have their allies of their own. Former STS operators and cadre. So this is really an underdog story. Well, the team can't afford to get into high-intensity firefights. They can't afford to get dragged down into. They can't afford to get engaged in prolonged firefights. They can't afford to fight the enemy head-on. They don't have government sanctions. So a lot of stories undertone isn't just about fighting. It's also about strategy and how to act in such a way that it won't attract too much attention.
So they have to stay
police.
secret.
Yeah. Which is kind of hard to do once monsters start showing up.
Yes. Now, I noticed that you have an overtly religious theme and character in Babylon Red and Babylon Blues, and you mentioned also you got angels and demons in your other books that are out here. Is that a running theme for your adventures? Is theology, is Christianity important to you?
You can say religion is a recurring theme in my stories. Yeah, it's an anchor for the story's higher themes. They represent higher values, even eternal values. They represent culture, tradition, all the things that anchor society and a person. In horror stories like Babylon, it represents a countervailing force to the monsters and horrors the characters confront. In stories like Singularity Sunrise, in a rapidly changing world, religion represents that which is eternal and unchanging, and also that which is ethical and moral. So, in this sense, religion represents the opposite to all the evils and horrors that the characters face.
Yeah, it's I read a lot of horror, and I see a lot of horror movies where the minions of hell have got a plan that is going in action, and you never see the forces. You never see the side of good supernaturally. It's always humanity must fight them.
Mm-hmm.
And it would seem like if you're admitting that there's one, you should admit that there's another.
Yeah.
But that never seems to come in and play with a story. And I don't know if it's because they want to see the story from a perspective of humanity solving its problems, or if they are shying away from the idea of saying we don't want to do God's actions for him because we don't know what he would do in this particular situation. So let's not act like we're acting for him. Nonetheless, I like stories that at least balance the forces and show that there is there are angels when there's demons, not just one and not the other.
Mm-hmm. In Babylon Red, the new gods are visible. They walk the streets, they show miracles, they grant powers, all the visible over stuff that wins people over. The Christian God, on the other hand, is subtle, far more subtle. And that's one of the reasons why Christianity isn't as popular as it is in Babylon. I mean, Christianity isn't as popular as all the new gods in Babylon.
Sure, because they can see this one.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the challenges that Yuri Yamamoto and his team faces as well. The Christian God chooses to act in more subtle ways. So, how do you convince people not to follow the new gods and sell their souls?
Yeah, if you they have to have faith, and what's easier to have, faith in something you can't see or faith in something that's miraculous and right in front of you?
Yep.
And there's a whole book in the back of the Bible that talks about this, and how easily that would affect people if that happens. Kai, I need to wrap this up. I have another stream I have to jump onto at the top of the hour here. But I want to thank you for bringing this project here to talk with. Honestly, anytime I've interviewed an author instead of like a graphic novelist, it never goes an hour because I'm like, there's little to show. But you had such depth of characters to talk about and interesting stories that this was easily filling the hour that I normally set aside. So I am interested. I hope that my viewers are interested. If you haven't clicked on the Amazon links or on the Indiegogo link, both of them are in the description below. If you're watching this on the replay, I encourage you to click on that and support this. Also, share the link to this video. As always, it's not for me. It's not for my views. It's for our guests, so that we can get their product in front of the eyes of more people, and they can get better known and market their products. Kai, thank you again, and everyone in the chat, thank you for being here as well. We don't have a show without you, and as always,